Go.
Hey everyone, it's Miss Helen with the Texas Toast Podcast and Texas Toast Radio, here to go through some radio releases and do a version of Texas on Tap. As you know, we always did that once a week, and usually Kyle was always joining me, but I don't know if y'all have checked on things with Kyle lately. Kyle is doing some amazing things with his music. Check out Kyle Garrett. He is dropping a lot to streaming. He's also playing like show on top of show on top of show, like opening for some great people, doing some great things. So don't forget about checking out Kyle's music at Kyle Garrett. Kyle's doing it, doing a great job. Love his stuff. Okay, looking at what's going on in Texas country radio, and a lot of these songs, actually, all of these songs are in the rotation at Texas Toast Radio. Let's start off with brand new music, and of course, I'm playing catch up on some of these. Some of these have been out like for a week or two, but anyway, we're gonna go over this list. Okay, David Adam Burns, one of my favorites. Last Cowboy Standing. He has a new single. That's the name of it, out to Texas country radio. And my friend Clay Hollis, he has a new song called Regular Man, and I just kind of want to stop. I'm going to kind of stop and put a yield on some of these and stop and talk about some of these. And I do want to talk about Clay's because it caught my ear. Of course, I'm partial to Clay. I love to nickname him Captain Clay. We have that whole fishing thing in common. But it's just a great song how some people dreamed of playing in the NFL or making big money and having the huge beach house or also getting a star on the Walk of Fame. That's a big dream right there. But just, those big dreams and big aspirations. But how about just being a regular guy and just being happy with your truck, having a good time, having your cold beer, a good dog, a good girl by your side. Great song there from Clay Hollis, and it's out to Texas Country Radio. It's called Regular Man. I think everyone's going to love that one. Tori Martin, this is like you feel the feel of, and there is a mention of tumbleweeds in this song, but it's like you can just feel the tumbleweeds and you can just feel the cowgirl vibe. The name of the song is Cowgirls Ride. It's Tori Martin, just released at Texas Country Radio. And man, it is just such a good song. It is like the ultimate cowgirl song. Some of the lines in there are hitch the trailer, run the barrels at the rodeo. Mama taught her what she knew. She was born to know. So just a great song there. Like I said, the ultimate cowgirl song. It does make reference to the tumbleweed blowing. And check it out, Tori Martin, Cowgirls Ride. Jake Worthington has a new one out to Texas Radio. It ain't the whiskey. Also, oh man, loving this one. I'm a big fan of Teague Brothers. They were probably one of my first guests on the podcast. John Teague was, but Teague Brothers Band. They have a new song called "Breathe" out to Texas Radio. It's going to catch your ear. You can't miss it. It's just that it's such my jam, and one that's really made a lot of noise on the charts this week. But Aaron Loy was debuted real big in the top 100 on the Texas Country Music Chart. Aaron Loy. The name of the song is "God Made a Cowboy." And now I'm just going to talk about a few that's just catching my ear when I hear them as I'm working on the radio station. Benjamin Cole, "Beers on Me." It's just that's actually his first single. I didn't realize that's his first single he's ever released. He's really mature behind it. I mean, like really just great sound there. It's a fun song. It gets to the one part about no problem sitting out here all day. I'm not going to sing it, but that's the sing along part. But it's just fun talking about beer, sipping, sunny day, cold beer, radio loud. And like I said, a great song that you can find portions in there where you just want to kind of sing along with that one. Another one that catches my ear is Josh Weathers, "Who's Hanging the Moon." And that's just got a song. That's a song just with some really good groove. So as we're talking about all that, we can move on over and talk about some of the charts. Yeah, let's talk about the charts. CD Extraction, Texas. Looking at the top five this week on CD Extraction, Texas. Number five is Break Itself, Randy Rogers Band. Number four is West of Fort Worth with Grant Gilbert. Green in Colorado, Casey Donahue's at number three. Number two is Drive, Jason Boland and the Stragglers. And Wade Bowen, Nothing But Texas, is sitting at number one. Looking at the Texas Country Music Chart. By the way, Song of the Week this week on that chart is Houston Bernard. That's another good one. It's called Wild in Me. New and on the chart, debuting really big in the top 100 was Aaron Loy, Teague Brothers Band. Dale Phillips, Toxic Love. That's another good one. Houston Bernard and Wild and Me. Okay, number five on the Texas Country Music Chart this week is the Randy Rogers Band and Break Itself. Jason Boland and the Stragglers are at number four with Drive. Casey Donahue, Green in Colorado, is at number three. Wade Bowen is at number two with Nothing But Texas. And Grant Gilbert, West of Fort Worth, sits at number one on the Texas Country Music Chart. Texas Regional Radio Report. This is the one I've been waiting for. Wait till we get to number one. Some of you may know already. Number five, Green in Colorado, Casey Donahue. Number four is Brooke Graham with Rolling On. I do have to talk about my sister Brooke here for a minute because once this single moves up and it's time for her to release another radio single. And actually, I saw this stuff on social media, so I can talk about it. There, she kind of dropped like the hint of what her next radio single is going to be and the title of the song. Y'all, I'm gonna lose my stuff when that one comes out. I can't wait. So stay tuned because I will be talking about that song. It's exciting. And of course, moving in, let's see, number three. I had to stop, get excited. Brady Balin is at number three with Austin Anymore. Number two is Jason Boland and the Stragglers with Drive. And y'all, congratulations. He's like family to me. Bubba Wesley, number one on the Texas Regional Radio Report this week with Damn Baby. Is that just amazing? That is so cool. But speaking of the charts, something that I'm super proud of, I worked hard to do this. I've worked really hard to make sure that my programming is all lined up. My music rotation is just the way it should be. And it all paid off because I am now on the panel and reporting station for the Texas Country Music Chart, CD Extraction Texas, and the Texas Internet Radio Chart as well. So I was just so happy when I passed the test and got accepted. It's like an acceptance speech here, but yeah, that was a huge thing for me. That's a big thing because it's like on the podcast we get those in-depth interviews, and of course, coming from a radio background, this has just worked out perfect for me. I love the interviews on the podcast, get really up close and personal, and we can drag those out and we can talk as long as we want and have a great time. And then with the radio, I can actually play the songs and make a difference for the artists and make a difference in this industry and get the word out for everybody to hear the music. And people are getting educated in my community. They're understanding some of your names. They're understanding some of, well, the artist names. They're understanding what we do in this industry. So that is just priceless for me. So yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be on the chart. But I worked hard making sure I set up my categories and my music software is all good. So I'm looking out the window, y'all. This is Memorial Day weekend as I record this. You know, I live in that tourist town called Matagorda, Texas, which is so supportive. They have just been so awesome with the radio station. But it's like, ooh, some crazy howling wild people coming into town, you know, that beaching and fishing stuff. Because like, what do we say? We're a drinking town with a fishing problem around here. They have shirts that say that anyway. So yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. This is a fun time of the year, the official, unofficial start of summer. Also, this past week, I celebrated my birthday. Big birthday for me. I was so happy. I was in Vegas. Didn't go to Vegas for my birthday. I went there actually. We went there for a memorial service for a wonderful gentleman that passed away that actually had relocated there and retired when his son went to coach baseball. Anyway, long story, but we were in Vegas. So guess what I did? I zip lined over Fremont Street. Yeah, I was so proud because I set that as a goal also. I had kind of looked into some research and I had seen where you could do that. So I did it. It was super fun. I wish it would have lasted longer. Like it went by way too quick. So also big stuff coming up. Sunday, I'll be at the Fort Bend County Fairgrounds in Rosenberg for the South Texas Shrimp and Crawfish Boil entertainment featuring William Michael Morgan. I'll be emceeing the stage. They'll have some Zydeco music and just a lot of family fun. It's a big family event. So I'll be there introducing William Michael Morgan, emceeing the stage and having some fun. And then also mark your calendars for Texas Toast Radio grand opening. Chamber of Commerce and the local businesses in my town here have just been so amazing and so gracious with support. So there'll be a ribbon cutting here at this studio in Matagorda for Texas Toast Radio. Is that like official, y'all? And I asked Steve Anthony to come and play, and also John Swatner is going to come and play, and they're going to do a little song swap, and we're going to see how that goes because I really would like to do a lot of stuff like that as I progress into the radio station, and everything is set up to where that's the date after that ribbon cutting. Then you can catch me on the air every day. So anyway, right now it's just the music is playing. We have some programming. I'm in and out, but then it'll be more stable, and we'll have some like specific airships. I guess I should put it like that. Okay, so anyway, I guess that's going to wrap it up for me. Everyone have a safe and wonderful Memorial Day holiday. Of course, it's probably over with by the time this airs, but I guess what I'm saying is that carries us into summer. So just remember all your summer safety habits. I know I always go over that every year. I'm not going to bore you with it now, but also jam some good Texas country music. There's a lot of good stuff on the radio, also streaming as well. And don't forget to check out Kyle Garrett. And thank you so much for supporting us here at the Texas Toast Podcast and Texas Toast Radio. Love you guys and gals. Big cheers, everyone. Welcome to the Texas Toast Podcast with Miss Helen. And I am so excited to welcome our guest today for this episode because I have become a huge fan and a huge follower of Cole Stevens. So welcome to the podcast, Cole. Nice to have you on.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I've become like a super fan of yours. I just love what you do. I love your style. I love your music. It caught my ear right away. So we're going to kind of dig in so that everybody else can get to know you and I can get to know you a little bit better. So you are a native of Nacogdoches. What a gorgeous place. And right there with Bonita Creek. How was that growing up there and the influence that you had from your community and your family?
Man, it's honestly been a really lucky experience. We were just chatting a minute ago how I grew up here, born and raised here, and then I moved off to college, went to Baylor for a year. Just wasn't for me, and I decided to move back. And through like my last couple years of high school, even through COVID and all that, and then whenever I came back to SFA here, Bonita Creek Hall and Kevin White there has been a big part of getting me plugged in, meeting people every chance I get to go to a concert here. Nowadays, it's not as often. I'm on the road more
Right.
often than not, but still helping me out with those connections. I've got to play there a few times. I say a few times, probably in the 7 or 8 range now, but opening for people, getting some great opportunities there. And then I've actually headlined as well.
Yes. Oh, I bet that was exciting to be
Yeah,
able to
that
step
was
up there and headline. Wow.
I have a big list actually of venues that I have to headline before I say I'm satisfied. And the list just keeps on getting longer. But the first one on the list was for sure Bonita Creek Hall. And whenever I got that done, I was like, man, maybe I'm actually getting somewhere. Maybe
That
this
is
is
so
all going to
cool.
work out in the end.
Well, that's something that always interests me, especially when we have like a first time guest on the podcast I always get interested in those bucket lists for venues. Do you want to share just a few of those with us?
Yeah, some of the bucket list ones, of course, are like Bonita Creek Hall, Green Hall down in Green, New Braunfels area. John T. Floors is another one of those
Mm,
ones. I want to play the Blue Light at some point up there in
yes.
Lubbock. I think that's a big one for me to get up there. And then, of course, everyone's got this one, Billy Bob's.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Well, I have no doubt at some point your bucket list is going to come true because you've got such a great sound. And I like how you have the mix of, like you say, you have a mix of country, you have a mix of rock and gospel, and you call it rock and tonk. And I know that your roots run deep in Texas and you went to music full time in 2024. But going back to Bonita Creek, there was a big moment for you when Mr. White gave you a phone call to open for, to a particular person and that kind of gave you a little boost there.
Yeah, well, I mean that phone call has actually happened a couple times, but the very, very first time I had only played a couple of acoustic gigs my whole life. It was in between senior year of high school, freshman year of college, and my now buddy here, Joey Greer,
Mhm.
uh, got to open for him there, and it was literally I was with my friends. I think we were working on four wheelers that day. I was out at his house in the middle of nowhere. I'm surprised I even got cell service out there, and I got a call, and I was like, "Man, I think this is Kevin." I answered it, and he was just like, "Hey, you need to be here in an hour and a half. We had to open or drop out, and I want you to open." And I was like, oh God. And that was my first real, I would say, show experience. You know,
Mhm.
there's a little bit of a difference between a gig and a show, depending
Yes.
on how you treat it and depending on, most people would consider the 3 hour in the corner of the restaurant a gig, but a show, has a schedule to it. You're on at this time and you've got to be done at this time. Your load in is this time. And that was my first experience with that. And then it was a while until I had another experience with that. I pretty much didn't really do any music my freshman year of college, except for release a couple of songs. Didn't I played one show which was opening for Joey again at the Backyard in Waco,
Mhm.
actually, whenever I was there at Baylor. But then came back to SFA, have a bunch of great people here who play music, who play instruments, writers around here, and ended up being a great decision for me, at least, to come back here and get plugged in with those people. And then started playing the acoustic gig kind of circuit around here in East Texas about into 2023 or into 22, beginning of 23. Then I played like one or two full band shows, and then I got a couple more at towards the end of 2023, and that's when I graduated college. Graduated a year and a half early. Just was on a fast track and wanted to get it done, and mostly to focus on music. But I had a full time job at the same time. And then March of 24, I got let go from that full time job, and I was like, ah,
Oh, there it
maybe
is.
maybe
There it
this
is.
is something. Maybe this is my opportunity to go ahead and hit it full time. And realistically, I haven't looked back since.
I know you shouldn't have to because you just got so much talent. You do such a good job, and I love your story. Also, now let's talk about 2020 for you. It wasn't just COVID for you and your family, but y'all had a house fire and you lost your
Yeah,
guitars and had to kind of
back in
regroup. Yes.
2020, yeah. Right in the middle of COVID, it was actually Cinco de Mayo, funny enough.
Wow.
And my dad's a dentist. It was all just a a buildup of different factors. COVID, it was the dead middle of COVID, like everything was shut down. That was like the highest point of that. And then my dad's a dentist and he can only do essential work for a while. So he was off for like a month and a half. And he went back to work full time, was allowed to May 4th. And then the next morning at 2 a.m., my family's home burnt down.
Oh,
So he was off for a few more weeks dealing with all that. And it was definitely a big moment in my life. And I want to say, it's almost crazy for someone to say this, but I am almost grateful that my house burnt down because whenever you have something like that and lose everything like that, it just
mhm.
makes you look at life differently. Um, it makes you not focus on the material as much, which I feel like at that point in time in my life was probably a big thing. Stuff, having it all, chasing money, chasing
Mhm.
was probably the main things going through my mind at that point in time. And I think if I still had that mentality, I wouldn't be doing music for sure.
Right.
Because you can ask any artist in the beginning part of their careers, most of them have part time jobs. I'm lucky enough that I have a little bit of money saved up from all that working that I did and that I'm able to at least pay my bills and everything. But I think if I still had that mentality, I wouldn't have continued on in music as far as I have.
Wow. Wow. What a way to turn around a situation. But that's kind of how bad things happen sometimes. And it does turn into a bigger, better thing. And if you've been there, done
Yeah.
that, you kind of get it. And
And
I
also
did.
it pushed me towards music. I mean, that was
Yes.
kind of like my getaway from the reality of COVID and all that was playing the guitar. I mean, I had sang in church and done a few things like that, but no means the singer that I am today back then or anything like that. And I've definitely become much better at guitar, much better at I wasn't even writing or anything at that point, and I think a lot of that stuff pushed me towards that because a lot of my release from all that was playing, singing, and then it was also going to shows and seeing the people that I love to see play, and that was kind of had started a little before that, but really got ramped up during that. And I was spending all my time at Bonita Creek Hall here in Nac seeing people play and trying to get a grasp on what I would want to be on stage if I was ever to do it. And I think that's actually helped me out a lot in the end.
Wow. Amazing story. So at Bonita Creek, when you would go see some of these names, who were some of the names? And did any of them take some time to pull you to the side and talk to you and kind of mentor you a little bit?
At that point, not really the mentoring part because I wasn't brave enough to talk to people at that point
No.
yet. Funny enough, I was said earlier whenever I was talking to y'all before the podcast, I opened for Mike Ryan last night on a Tuesday at Marty B's. It was a sold out show. It was amazing. But Mike Ryan, I think, was the first concert that I was able to go to by myself without someone over 18 with me.
Hmm.
So I think that was the first one that I ever got to go to. So
Wow.
immediately I was like, oh, I already love this music, and getting to see him live and everything like that was awesome. But I got to see a lot of people. They also have Expo Center shows here for bigger shows. They don't do them quite as often anymore. Some contributing factors into that. But uh, got to see Co Wetzel and Parker McCollum play. Those guys got to see some bigger acts kind of start off. I remember going to a Braxton Keith concert and there being like 110 people there.
Cool.
And
Oh, good.
now
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know if he'll play Bonita Creek Hall again because he might be selling too many tickets, you know?
Have you ever wondered how artists like Treaty Oak Revival, Red Clay Strays, and Aaron Watson maintain the high quality and high demand for their merchandise? CH Lone Star Promo is the answer. Created in Texas to serve Texas artists, and they're currently offering 15% off on all merch orders from musicians. Visit chlonestarpromo.com to get started and tell them Texas Toast sent you.
Hey everybody, this is Bree Bagwell with OnlyVans Podcast, and I want to point you in the right direction for content creation. My friends at Release Rocket Media are the best. Shelton and Ryan, they can do any sort of videos you want. They do all the audio, all the editing, stuff that I hate to do, they just do it for you. So if you're an artist or a business, it can be anything, and you need content creation, trust me, Release Rocket is your go-to, releaserocketmedia.com.
Another story that I ran across about you is I just thought this was the coolest thing. So your mom gifted you studio time for one of your birthdays.
Yes, she did.
That
She
is
did.
so creative. So what did you
Yeah.
do with that time?
A couple songs that will never see the light of day. But I think it gave me that first experience in at least getting the knowledge of what happens in a studio because
Hmm.
I think in every aspect of the music industry, people who aren't in it or around it have no idea what goes into it. And I was for sure one of those people because I relatively only knew one person in the music industry and wasn't that close to him at that point. And I had no idea what it was like. And it was the first experience with that, and it was kind of cool seeing how it all worked, and pretty much taught me that I had a lot to work on.
Oh, okay. Good. Good education there. So now let's talk about your music currently out. I love it. West of You. And of course, Keller Cox had a big contribution to that particular single that's out right
He
now.
did.
Oh,
That
We
phrase
love
"West
Keller.
of You" was actually his.
Hmm.
But he's been an awesome dude. I was lucky enough. I went up to Nashville during CMA Fest last year, and the first night, the guy who's now my manager, I went to go hang out with him, and he wasn't my manager at that point in time, but that was kind of what built the base of it. And there was a few other guys I got to meet that night. I think I met Palmer Anthony that night, and Keller Cox was one of those people, sweetest, kindest, greatest human on earth. I mean,
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
don't have enough to say about that dude. But he was like, "Hey, let's write," and he was the first like person somewhat notable that I can even recollect that was like, "Hey, I want you to write with me," and not me, DMing someone or finding their number and texting them. He extended the offer, and I think the very next week we wrote a song. Actually, I went up to his house up there in Dallas and
Hmm.
went and wrote a song. I'm not sure if that one will ever come out, but I do play it live sometimes. And then just been a few times since then that anytime we can both find time that we're free, we try to write. And one of the times I went up to his house was whenever, I think it would have been November, whenever we wrote West of You. And we were just going through ideas, and he said that tagline, East of Dallas, West of You. He was like, I have no idea what this means. And I was like, huh. And the great thing about writing with Keller is I don't ever think I'm the strongest writer. I'm definitely getting better and definitely honing my craft on that end of things, but I don't have a whole lot of confidence in it. But it seems like anytime I'm in the room with Keller, he brings out the best of what I have, and then he's also a phenomenal writer himself. So that doesn't hurt at all. And yeah, we knocked out that song actually pretty quickly. Funny enough, we used an alternate tuning called Dadgad that he had never used before. So I taught him that, and we got a good song out of it, and it ended up being a good time. One,
Outstanding.
I would say probably my favorite or second favorite song that I've put out so far.
Right, right. Well, it is a good one. And it's just like the lyrics just kind of take you away as you're listening to that song, talking about the rain the next morning. There's just so many things I love about it. But you and Keller did a great job on that one. Let's talk about Bad Tattoo, which was a good one for you.
Yeah, I actually wrote that one with Peyton Howie. Yeah,
Wow.
she reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you like to write sometime?" And we found a good time. And she lives down in like I guess like the south end of Lake Conroe area, and went down there. And we were just throwing around ideas. And once again, she threw out the idea of Bad Tattoo. And as soon as she said it, I was like, "Ah, I was like, that could be something." And that's just, sometimes someone just says two words and you're like, that's it right
Mhm,
there. And
mhm.
I was like, man, what do you think of a bad tattoo? You think of, oh, I regret this, but what do people get addicted to? Getting tattoos. So I
Yes,
thought
that's
of it
right.
more of like going back to the wrong person in your life, kind of that thing. And always, I have an example in my life, but I have plenty of friends that have had examples of that. And so I was like, I think we can get something out of this. And then that was another one that came pretty quickly. And I was like, man, this could be cool.
Hmm. Great job on that. And it's like, and as we're going through these songs and everyone's listening to the backstory, go look up Cole's music because that's what I did the first time I heard you. But also another good one you have is I Could Use Some Rain.
Yeah, so that was the first song I ever released. The backstory behind that's kind of crazy. Honestly, all of it is kind of crazy. But so I had just played a couple acoustic gigs. It's all I'd done my entire music career, pretty much. I did that acoustic opener for Joey at that point too, and I was getting interested in music. Was thinking I wanted to start getting into it and learning the industry and doing a lot of stuff like that. And I have a good family friend of mine named Spence Peppard that lives in Nashville, and he offered over my spring break to take me around, teach me stuff, take me around, show me places in Nashville and all that. And at that point in time, I think he was playing lead for Jason Crabb, but now he plays lead for Scotty McCreery and does a lot of
Mhm.
studio stuff as well. Um, but great guy. He's another one of those people that I'm like, man, I don't deserve you in my life. I can call him as as he is not on stage or getting ready to be on stage. I can call him at any time and
Wow.
he'll answer. Just a great dude overall. But he showed me around Nashville, did all this, and then one night he was like, "Hey, do you want to try and write a song?" And I was like, yeah. And at that point, I had only ever written maybe two or three songs, or maybe four or five songs at that point in my life. And I was going to go to his house, which is about 45 minutes outside of Nashville, and ended up, traffic was too bad. And he turned around and just came to my hotel room that I
Hmm.
was in. And we wrote, I Could Use Some Rain. He just pretty much he was like, "Hey, what do you want to write about? What's some ideas?" He was like, "I know you haven't really done much of this kind of thing before, but let's try it out." And we ended up coming up with the theme of pretty much like with the house burning down
Yeah.
and everything, that I could use some rain, I could use
Mhm.
something better in my life, that kind of metaphor there. And yeah, that was a cool experience. And then the very next day we went and recorded the whole thing.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, he did everything but the lead vocals on the song.
Oh my goodness. Great story
Yeah.
there. Thanks for sharing that. And that traffic in Nashville's crazy. They drive crazy weird there. Their roads
Yeah,
are just I mean, like Houston traffic's crazy, but there's something about that Nashville traffic. I don't know. I couldn't really
yeah, it's
deal
a
with it when
little,
I was
it's just
there.
kind of, I don't know. It, Houston traffic's definitely worse, but Nashville traffic, whenever you hit it at its bad times, it's
It's
about as
a
bad as it can be.
it's a worse kind of different. So now I want to talk about some of your radio releases, which every radio release you have, it's like I've actually added to Texas Toast Radio. That was one of the first things I got to get Cole in. Friday night, such a good song. Ain't enough beer. Come home too soon, but Friday night's so fun.
Yeah, that's we actually started off most of our shows live with that one now, and
I can
now
see
it's
that.
the second song usually that we play. But I wrote that with a buddy of mine. Shout out to Cameron Barnes if he ever. I'll probably force him to listen to this. But he was one of the people that kind of convinced me to come back to SFA. He has a kid now and is working full time, so he's not doing much music. But he's one of the first guys that I ever got to like sit down and really write with or do anything like that. And he's by no means a professional. I think he could be a professional if he decided to put his mind to it,
Hmm. Hmm.
but he just not part of his life plan. Everybody has their own paths in life. But we had that song, and we were just kind of being goofy. Honestly, we were like, man, what is it like whenever you just want to go out after a long week of work on Friday night? And that's kind of what we came up with. There's not a whole lot to that one. Uh,
Hmm.
Honestly, it's just more of we're like, what's the feeling you get whenever you want to go out and go have fun? You've
Right,
been you've
right.
been tired all week. You want to get out. You don't want to be home. What's that like? And
Hmm.
that's kind of what we threw down on that one.
And that's why it was a good decision for a radio release because it's so relatable to people as they're heading out of their workplace on maybe Thursday or Wednesday, hump day, looking forward to Friday. So good job on that one. Ain't enough fear as well. And come home too soon. Do you plan on releasing any other radio releases, or is that something that's going to be in the future?
I would say it's going to be in the future, but right now it's just I wouldn't say on the back burner is probably a bad way to say it, but it's
Well, it
just
is
not.
timing. It is
Yeah,
timing with radio.
yeah,
Yes.
it's timing, and then it's more of like. I mean, I just got so many other things going on in my life with music and everything that
Mhm.
I feel like it's not my number one priority as of right
Mhm.
now.
Right, right. It will come. It will come.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there'll be a time for it, and I'm sure I'll either one of the songs I have out now or something in the future will be a great fit for it. It just hasn't, like I said, it just hasn't been on the top of my priorities list.
Mhm. Well, as long as you keep giving us some streaming songs, because I love your stuff.
Yeah, the hope is to have another one in about 6 weeks,
Okay.
5 to 6 weeks, give or take. Yeah.
Mhm. Well,
But
let me ask you about since we're talking about singles and what you've put out so far. Where is there a particular studio that you're recording at, a particular producer that you're working with? How are you working with all that as far as getting into
yeah,
studio?
so all the new stuff that I've been doing, Hollywood Anon, has been with Heath Parrott here in Nacogdoches, actually.
Awesome.
And I'm fortunate enough that he's very talented in what he does, and he plays with me a lot. He's
Hmm.
my main drummer, I would say, right now. Another good friend of mine has been drumming for me a decent bit because he's been stacked in the studio and different other obligations he has. But he understands what I'm going for, honestly. And I think that was something that I hadn't quite found yet. I've worked with other great studios. I've worked with Spence Peppered up in Nashville and a couple guys up there. And then I've worked with Rosewood Studios up in
Yes.
Tyler. And I
Hmm.
think the problem was just I couldn't, not that they lack the talent or skill at all, because they're all amazing,
Hmm.
talented guys. But I just couldn't communicate what I wanted as well and what I was going for. And I think he just understood what I was going for. He knows me personally. I've known
Hmm.
him for forever. He knows that I like rocking it out a little bit, but knows we don't want to get caught in the mix with everybody. We want to be a little bit different from
Right.
everyone else. So like funny enough, the next song that we're gonna release, um, it was going to be more like Bad Tattoo and just be kind of an all rock song. But then he was like, we were just in the studio. It's like, man, he threw a drumstick and he was like, I got an idea for this, and just started playing like a Tom Petty esque drum groove. And he's like, I think this is what we should do for this. Let's run through a take and see what goes with it. And it ended up being perfect. And just stuff like that is why I love using him.
Wow, love that story. See, I knew like I kind of bonded with you with your music, but you're just too cool to talk to also. I just love how everything falls together for you and how you just kind of go naturally, just kind of roll with it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and I think that's just I've been told my whole life. It was funny, like growing up, and especially in high school, where people are a little bit awkward and can't talk as well. I've always been told I was good at talking to adults, which I never knew how to take that back in the day because I was like, "Am I not good at talking to kids my own age?" But I think I just am able to talk people's ears off, honestly, is
Mhm.
what that means. I can talk about anything.
Well, I love that. So, what do you have coming up as far as shows and or maybe in particular a show you're actually really, really looking forward to that maybe is kind of going to check off the list coming soon, or let's talk about your
Um,
tour.
Shows wise, this Thursday I'm going to Cowboys and Cadillacs rooftop in New Braunfels, and then I think I have a 2 weekend break. Um, it's a struggle, for a guy like me to get shows sometimes, just because I'm booking a lot of my own stuff, and then I'm having a little bit of help from a guy named Dylan Moore with Underdog Artist Group. He's doing a great job, but we just started working together on stuff, so it takes a little bit of time to get the ball
Mhm.
rolling. So I think I have 2 weekends that I'm pretty much off this weekend and then next. And then I've got two shows with a good buddy of mine, Thomas Babiak. We're going to the Dirty South in Angleton, and then Belly's on the Brazos in Freeport, I believe is where it's
Mhm.
at. We're playing those.
You're coming
And
down to
then,
my area. You're
yeah,
coming close to me. Yes,
and
Dirty
those are
South
going to
in
be
Angleton. Yes, and Freeport is a beach right up from a waterway right up from me. I'm in Matagorda. I'm actually on the
okay.
coast, close to
Heck yeah.
Freeport, and then Angleton's right inland from there. I may have to check on those dates. I would maybe could
Yeah, I
run over
believe
and
that's
see
the
those.
16th and 17th. And then yeah, so those are going to be like acoustic song swap type deals. And
Nice.
then the next weekend I think I might be next weekend is my brother's wedding, actually.
Oh
That's why I
boy.
don't have anything that weekend. Uh I say his wedding. It's his ceremony. Him and his wife are already married.
Mhm,
They've been married for about 6 months now, but they're having their ceremony up in Oklahoma City because that's where they met and everything like
mhm.
that. But weekend after that, I think I have something, and then got some more openers that I'm working on with
Good.
some guys, and then I don't know if I'm allowed to tell the date quite yet, but in July I'm headlining Green Hall, and that's the big one that I'm looking
Oh,
forward to.
congrats, 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 congrats. That's awesome. Oh,
And
so
that one
excited
just
for
got
you.
confirmed this past week, and I was like, oh yes,
Oh
this
my
is it.
goodness gracious. That is so amazing, Cole. You're going to do so many great things. I just have no doubt. I have no doubt. You just get to know Cole Stevens, get to know this space, this sound, and this music. And one thing that we were talking about before we jumped on, before we wrap things up, was Kyle had brought it up about something with you and tour managing.
Yeah, I think that was just a confusing thing.
Okay.
Someone tagged me on a wrong post or something like that. So the full-time job that I had before I got full-time music was working at a gun store, gun range.
Hmm.
And the thing that happened was like 2 months ago, they flagged a post that I had on Instagram. So right now, if you went on Instagram or maybe even Facebook too, you have to like put in my full username exactly to find me. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And used to you could just put Cole and an S and I would probably pop up if you're from Texas.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And that's been a big deal. Supposedly that's going to be over in June. I've been fighting over it, but it was a story post that I have nowhere saved and it was like almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
It just randomly got flagged, and yeah, it's a whole thing. Social media, it
It's crazy,
frustrates
isn't
me
it? It's
so.
just
It's
crazy.
like as soon as I have something good going, something
Ah,
like that happens. I'm like,
oh
oh
man,
my
oh man.
gosh, this is
Well,
ridiculous.
right, right, right. Well, we're going to concentrate on ColeStevensMusic.com. That's your website, right? I think I
Yes,
got that
ma'am.
right. Yes, Cole Stevens everything, Cole Stevens Music. I just like I said, I have no doubt. I'm just going to watch you go up and up and up and up. I can't wait. Congratulations on what you've done so far. I'm just so appreciative of you, just your spirit, your attitude, your talent, just you visiting on the podcast. It just feels like I've known you forever. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast to see us, and I'm sure you'll be coming back again because I know you're going to have so much going on.
Thank you for having me on. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is I've listened to this podcast many a times, and was hoping that I'd get on at some point, and I'm sure I'll be back as well.
Yes, you will be back. And Miss Helen has been following you. You've been on my radar for a while. So thank you so much, Cole, and hang in there. Keep doing what you're doing and come back and
Thank you
see
so
us.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cole. Cole Stevens, everyone.